the YouTube name Good Medicine, and I want to speak to you from my heart here. Um, when I was a kid and growing up, I was a very spiritual person, and I still am. And I think that is because I had a lot of very strange, unusual experiences. And back in the early 90s, I remember I came across a interesting book. It was about remote viewing, and the gentleman who wrote it, I have a link, by the way, in the description below, where the guy describes his experience. And it really had an impact on me, and I wanted to share it with you. Um, Basically, he was an Army Ranger, he was a commander, and he was in Jordan doing exercises with the U.S. military. And during the exercises, he was shot by a rubber bullet in the head, and he had some kind of mystical or near-death experience as a result of this. He went unconscious, and when he was unconscious, he had became, I guess, fully aware and conscious, and he saw a what he described as like a being of light or angel. He doesn't know exactly what this being was because it never described or identified itself, but it told him that he had chosen the wrong path in life and that he was to seek peace. And afterwards, he ended up getting involved in some psychic spying program with the U.S. government. But what I really want to focus on here is his very brief experience with this entity, a spiritual being that told him to seek peace. And it's always had a very deep impact on me because you always hear about wars and stuff. And right now there's a war in Ukraine with Russia that has the potential to get a lot bigger, even in the worst case scenario, a nuclear war. I don't think it's going to get that big, but it is one of the bloodiest wars since World War II, and it certainly shows no signs of stopping soon. And, I think about what this spiritual being had told him. I had an epiphany about it. It wasn't just a message to him, it was a message to all of us, to everybody on earth, to every living being, to seek peace. We're always praying for peace, we ask God for peace, but what's interesting is the tables are turned and the spiritual beings are telling us to seek peace. They aren't asking us to pray for it. They're saying we can do something to do it. And, when you think about this war in Ukraine and Russia, and you're thinking, well, I'm just one person, what can I do? You almost want to forget about it's happening. You don't want to hear about the horrors of it and just kind of go about live your life and just forget about it. And it's like, well, I can do nothing, so therefore I'm just going to, put it out of my mind. And I think that's kind of the wrong attitude. I think that we have to realize one person can do something, and that's why I'm making this video, because I think we can do something. Now, little old me, I got this small little YouTube channel, 10 viewers that never watch. I'm a nobody knows who I am. And I'm kind of going up against the impossible here. But I harken back to what this spiritual being had said, which fascinated me, which is that we should seek peace. And so what I'm proposing is something quite amazing, is that we seek peace in Ukraine. And you may ask how. It's actually very simple. These two parties obviously aren't going to sit down and talk, but there's no reason you can't have a 3-day ceasefire. So I'm calling for a 3-day Good Friday through Easter ceasefire. Now you might think, well, Good Medicine, this is just, you're asking the impossible. It's up to the powers that be, and you're totally wrong. What it's really up to are the people on the ground, the soldiers, the rank and file. Okay, because the only way that any type of leader or dictator or anybody has power over us is if we give it to them, if we do what they say. Now think about this. If the President of the United States tells everybody, let's say, do something crazy or evil, like kill Jews, right? And if we all say no, if all 300 million of us say no, we're not going to do it, what can the president do? There's not a damn thing he can do about it. If we just simply refuse to do what he says to do. If the people and the soldiers and the people in Ukraine and Russia say, hey, we're just going to have a 3-day ceasefire, we're going to do it. We're not going to wait around for them, because clearly they aren't going to do it. They want to keep flaming the war. They want to keep it going. They want to keep the bullets and missiles flying. But there's nothing stopping the individuals from saying, well, I'm just not going to pull the trigger. I'm not going to use the artillery or the tank. There's nothing that any power can stop them. I mean, they all have guns. It's like, who's going to tell, 500,000 men, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to shoot you. The Putin can't do it. Zelensky can't do it. He can't shoot these guys. They all got guns. It's not like they can do what they want to do, really. But the thing is, I make this very weird or strange proposal, and I can't do it. What it requires is that this video goes viral, and that people who can speak Russian, who can speak Ukrainian, who are Russian, tell the people in Russia and Ukraine to have a 3-day ceasefire. I know I'm kind of asking something that's just phenomenally large and seems impossible, but really, it's actually very simple. If the people do get the message out there, particularly the people in the ministers and the Eastern Orthodox churches, or ministers get together, the Pope, all these people get together and they say, listen, we're going to have a 3-day Easter ceasefire. Then the ball could actually get rolling. If people, like someone I like online, Russell Brand, got up there and said something, or famous musicians like U2, or anybody out there who starts to say, hey, listen, what's wrong with a ceasefire? Nobody's making any agreements. Nothing's written in stone. There's no reason you can't go out there and do this. And it's Good Friday. It's not going to hurt nobody. At least if you're on the front lines, you're not going to get killed. You can take a break. And of course, I know all the warmongers and the naysayers. They're like, oh yeah, the Russians and the Ukrainians are going to be sneaking in ammunition and prepping and for more attacks and it's just a cover to carry out a better, offensive. Forget them, because you got to go back to something that's above all them. This spiritual being that spoke to this man was actually speaking to all of us, was telling us to seek peace. So that being, whoever it is, I don't know what he encountered, is certainly above all the world leaders combined. Okay, certainly is a greater being, authority, not much more knowledgeable, and it's not saying, hey, keep pulling the trigger and using artillery on each other. It's saying, hey, seek peace. And it's so unbelievably easy. It's like, well, all you have to do is not pull the trigger. The men on the front line, who I deeply sympathize with, because I'm out here, an everyday average man on the front lines of life, working my hands, the calluses bleeding, I'm out here, suffering, so I mean, if a war came to America, I'd be on the front lines. I deeply sympathize with these men, because I am really one of them. Even though I'm in America, I am just like them. And so my hearts and feelings really go towards them, all of them on both sides, because probably a lot of them don't want to be there, and they're forced to in some way. But the whole thing is that we need to get together and really push for this as a group. And so that's why I really want you to get the word out and tell people, particularly people who are Russian, Ukrainian, who can tell people in Ukraine and Russia, hey, listen, we're simply going to have a 3-day ceasefire for Easter, Good Friday through Easter. And hopefully, why not just keep it going if it's working? That's the ideal. But, I know how human beings are. We're very self-centered and selfish, and we kind of want things our own way, and we don't like to compromise. But unfortunately, statistically speaking, historically speaking, most wars end up in compromises anyway. So it's probably what's going to end up happening anyway. I think why not sooner than later? Because the longer it takes to get there, just the more people are going to die, more things are going to be destroyed, and the worse it is for everybody. But I want to bring you back to that story of that man and that spiritual being, because I think that's what you got to think about. And what we're being asked to do is to seek peace. And it's just something that is in my heart to come out and say, and to try to get this message out. So I certainly hope you pass this message on, particularly to the people in Ukraine and Russia. You know, I certainly think, I mean, there's other wars going on too. I mean, in Yemen and the Congo. It'd be nice if they did the same, but you know, the whole thing is very, very important that the people realize the importance of the message, that the power really lies in you, the individual who thinks you don't have any power, because we've ceded that power to them, to the elites, and they boss us around. We're just like, yeah, yes sir, whatever. And really it's not that way, because if we just say, hey, we're just not going to shoot each other, what can they do? There's nothing they can do. Okay. And that's what you got to realize. The real power lies with you, the individual who thinks they're just a nobody, that has no power and can do nothing. You can do something. You can make a difference. So with that said, I hope you, I really hope you take this to heart and seek peace. And you can comment and contact me, and I will certainly love to hear from you. All right, thank you very much, and have a good day. God bless.
Awesome.